So there's been a lot of talk about the MMA judging lately, more and more, and the robberies. This fool got robbed, that fool got robbed. And I know that robberies happen. I'm not denying that at all. I understand. It happened so much so that they had to well, it was actually me. I renamed Robert Whitaker because he robbed Metal twice. And I know a lot of fools think it was just a rematch, but Charlie, open your eyes, vato. It's right there on Fight Pass when it's working. But I know that they happen. I know that it's present, and I was present. I was present for this last event. I was there hosting a Mexican fight companion, but you know, a series of events took place, and we got a little bit derailed, and we had a long, drawn-out theological discussion, and we kind of forgot that there were fights taking place. And anyway, I'm going to be honest with you, I was a little bit bored, and I was more there to go back and forth and chop it up with you guys than watch this Carl France do whatever he was doing. I don't know if he got ripped off. I don't know. I didn't even watch it. I'm not even going to try to come at you like the weasel. And what really happened? I'm not doing that right now. I'm taking what happened and I'm trying to extract what's going on over a lot of fools' beanies right now. And it seems very obvious to me, and I'm over here clapping my hands. I'm seeing a lot of fools making tweets and they're making videos. The MFC, the UFC needs to make a change, and they need to fire this fool and they need to do that. And there's fools I saw Adesanya on a thumbnail that he's crying about the MMA judging and he's mad, and I didn't click on it because I didn't want to give that fool any watch time. I spent too much time dwelling on that fool's likeness over the years. I realized something the other day. I've spent more time in my life looking at Israel Adesanya's areolas than my own. And I know what you're thinking. Why would you be looking at your own areolas anyway? Like, it's not really a weird thing to not be that familiar with your own areolas, because it's not like dudes just sitting around checking out the areolas every day. I'm just saying, when you look at it in this context, like, but why are you going to be looking at another dude's areolas either? You know what I'm saying? And it just made me feel like I didn't really want to give that fool anything more than what he's already taken from me. And I didn't click on the video, but I know it's a big thing right now in the community. And it got me thinking about something that I'm always thinking about anyway, the way that the UFC has kind of lost its path over the years. You look back not that long ago. I know 30 years kind of sounds like a long time, but in the history of everything, it's not really a long time. And when you see how, you know, you think of fools like Tank Abbott, you think about Chemo, you think about, I mean, even Royce Gracie. I mean, I know he's like one of those BJJ fools and the hugging and killing time and control time and positioning and this and that, but he was still in there biting dudes. I'm not a Royce Gracie fan, but he was in there biting dudes. He was in there holding on to the choke for way longer than Khabib did against McGregor, but nobody wanted to say nothing, unless you watch my video covering the first UFC, but nobody else wanted to say anything. And so when I see this MMA judging, and then I look at my phone real quick because Marilena's texting me, even though she told me that I told her that I would be shooting a video. When I think about the context of the situation, I think about how I'm always saying the UFC got soft. They got soft. Somebody saw that Will Smith video and the pursuit of not getting CTE, and they're like, we need to stop this. This is chicken fighting or whatever they were saying. They had to have a bunch of like. They went to court over it and everything, and they were appealing it and trying to make it legal, and they were saying that it was like animalistic and they needed to make changes, so they added these rules, and you can't do the 12-6, you can't bite a fool in his throat, no small joint manipulation, you can't even trash talk. Did you know that that's in the rules? You can't even trash talk. If you start talking about that fool's mama too much in the ring, or he's gonna be like, hey, I gave you a warning. You know how he does that thing? You can't even do that. You can't even talk papas in the cage. You could be giving it to that fool his eyeballs, as long as it's not like this. You could be, but you can't say anything about that fool's mom. Boom, point taken away. It's ridiculous. It's arbitrary. It doesn't make any sense. It went off the rails. They make this movie about CTE, and they're still doing football to the fullest. Basketball got softer. MMA got softer. Football's still out there doing its thing. Nobody's watching, but they're still doing it. And over here you got the UFC being a bunch of softies, and people are passing them off. You got things like one championship out there still allowing you to knee grounded full soccer kick fools. You got bare knuckle out here. UFC starting to look worse and worse. Even by its own company, you got power slap. Straight up smacking fools across the dome, no glove, no protection, no nothing like that. Straight up serving up CTE on the daily. It's like UFC doesn't know it's shooting itself in its own chancla. It doesn't make any sense. But again, I'm going off topic. My point is it frustrating when you know that your dude won and he should be getting his hand raised, but the judges said, nah, we think this one should win? It's frustrating. And I know that there's a lot of fools out there that like to gamble, and that's how they, buy groceries and stuff like that, and it's frustrating for them as well. But I started to think about a big picture. And I started to think about it in the context of what I'm usually thinking about and what I think is even more important. We need to get back to that 1993 type of fighting. And I'm not talking about infomercial, everybody let's do BJJ. That's not the angle I'm taking right here. I'm talking about we need to get back to actual fighting, which is a little bit ironic because I didn't even realize till right now that I'm kind of going back on my let's get back to quality fighting type of thing. And those of you who know what I'm talking about. I'm not even going to get into it right now because that's not what this is about. And I'm not trying to do a whole thing just because it's June and stuff like that. That's not what I was doing right now. It just came to my beat right now. The let's get back to quality fighting. If you know, you know. I'm not trying to be like Dana White, but there's no other way to say that. But what I'm trying to say is that the MMA judge is constantly messing up and choosing the wrong dude and doing sketchy stuff and having to rewrite on their scorecards, having to have these little powwows. Hey, go to commercial break real quick because my pencil broke and I can't write on we have to get, the printer messed up and my paper smudged and I gotta go to commercial. Hold up, we gotta figure this out. Hey, everybody come here, what'd your card say? All that kind of stuff, what's it gonna lead us back to? It's going to lead us back to fools actually trying to finish fights. I don't know about you, but I'm sick of watching the UFC. I'm sick of spending the $80 plus whatever it is to have the annual membership to ESPN plus whatever, just to make it look like I'm watching EBI. Eddie Bravo, no disrespect. No disrespect. But I don't want to watch EBI. I don't pay all that money and I don't spend all the time. I don't make all my thumbnails and try to get people just so I could be like, dang it, they're just rolling on the floor again. They're going to just try to let this thing go to decision again. Someone's going to get ripped off. Someone has like $350 on the line. They just told their lady, hey, we're going to be able to go out this weekend. It's gone. Because the judge is just like that. They had a feeling. They had an inkling. They saw from this angle. It doesn't matter. Whatever the thing is, it could be sketchy. They could be dirty vatos. They could just be dumb. They don't know what they're doing. Maybe he sneezed right when a really important thing happened. It doesn't matter. The bad judging in the UFC, the robberies, the sketchiness, the Dana White power, the Dana White privilege, however you want to look at it, it's the best thing that could possibly happen for the UFC right now. Because it's going to tell fools, you need to finish this fight. Somewhere along the way, fools lost their fire. It was gone. I don't know if it had to do with them trying to stretch out their career a little longer. Fools ain't even sparring anymore. They stopped sparring. One of the most punchy sounding dudes in all the MMA, Max Holloway, he won't even spar anymore. He won't even spar on UFC 4. He's done with it. It's a mental game as well. He won't have nothing to do with it. The only time he gets hit or he hits someone's in the cage. That's it. It's already a little bit too late for him as far as I'm concerned, but at least he's setting the example for the future generation of softies. He thinks he's doing the right thing. He's trying to keep people safe, and that's true. You're not going to have CTE, but you're not going to have exciting fights either. You're not going to have titles around your waist either. I hope these MMA judges keep ripping fools off. I hope they keep doing the wrong thing. I hope they keep being sketchy. I hope Sal Diamato, I hope that fool procreates like a cute little bunny. I hope Sal Diamato is in full breed mode right now, so that he can make all the next and the next and the next generations of fighters realize, I can't let this go to decision. I can't let this go to the judges because there's a bunch of little Sal Diamatos running around out there. And whatever that fool's name was that ripped off Henry Cejudo, what was his name? Derek Cleary. There's a bunch of those little fools running and cloning them. So I got to finish this fight. It's going to let that fire back under them. It's going to make them make exciting fights. You got to understand this. It's frustrating in the moment. It's frustrating in the macro. Or the micro. I can't remember which one it is. It's frustrating right there. But if you just pull back a little bit. You just pull back, you look at that little snow globe from the outside looking in. you realize that this is actually the best thing that could have ever happened to the sport. And I hate that we have to call it a sport. We already knew the moment we started calling it a sport, it's not fighting anymore. That was like the first indicator. But anyway, here we are now. That's what it is. Until we find a way to get to Mars and that we could live like savages again and just lose the gloves and everything, drop the 12-6. This is what we're working with right now. We got to call it a sport. All right, fine, whatever. They're even talking about putting it in the Olympics. Whatever, we got to work with what we got. This is the best we got. It's the best evil, or however they say, I don't know. But the bad MMA judging, the sketchiness, the dirty vatos, you got to understand, it's the best thing that could possibly happen for the MMA. You got to stop crying about it. You got to stop complaining about it. You got to start embracing it, because it's going to lead to some knockouts. It's going to lead to some new up-and-coming savages. And that's exactly what we've been missing since like 1999. I can't even remember, basically when Mark Coleman left the UFC and stopped doing this, that's when the UFC just went, and it was never the same after that. We need to get back to that. So judges, if anybody happens to see this, please stop messing up the fights. Please don't stop messing up the fights. Don't stop being sketchy. Keep doing the wrong thing. Keep coming in blindfolded. Keep being a bunch of dirty vatos. And it's gonna lead fighters to be better than they've been for the last several many years. I thank you.